Welcome to BDE. We are a Flesh and Blood podcast and hopefully talk about some controversial stuff and also some good stuff about the game. We absolutely love this game, and we all met through this game. Ty, we met not too long ago, about 2 years ago. We'll kind of get into that in our intros here, but afterwards we'll talk about the skirmish that happened and what happened to us and our records, and we'll just talk about some big deck energy looking stuff here. Bailey, you want
big deck energy?
Big deck energy, baby. Absolutely. Bailey, you want to kick us off with stories and intros?
My name's Bailey. I got into cards about a decade ago now. It was like 2013, around Theros and Magic. Really just like fell in love with Magic, the play patterns, everything like that. I really enjoyed it. I started playing Standard at our local shop down here, Friday Night Magics. And then at some point, I was in high school at the time, realized it was not financially viable to keep playing Standard and updating my deck every year. And Modern was even more prohibitive. Looking at you, Fetch Lands. Started playing Commander, and I enjoyed the multiplayer aspect of it, and just like sitting down with friends, having a good time. But I missed that like one-on-one competitive aspect. When one night this kid calls me up and he's like, "Hey, Josh wants me to teach him how to play Magic." And I was like, "Wow, we can dust the old decks off." Came over here, showed him the ropes, and then a few months down the road, he's like, "Hey, have you heard of Flesh and Blood?" And I was like, No, I haven't." And he's like, "Really cool, really like interesting. You should check it out." And so I did, and it scratched that one-on-one like competitive itch that I'd been missing in Magic, and been with it ever since.
Absolutely, we love to hear that. Cliff, you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Benjamin. Everyone always calls me Cliff, though, because it's my last name. Started off playing Magic in high school. I never really got into the Standard. I was always more of the Commander aspect. Ran Scarab God back then. Still run Scarab God now. He is the one and only for me. But it just didn't have that real competitive aspect. I did like the fact that because you had so many cards in your deck, you had so many different options and interactions for how to play a single turn or a game. And I always found that interesting, but because of it, it lacked that competitive edge that you could only get really if you tried Standard for one-on-one. But got a call a couple years ago out of the blue from Mr. Josh over there. It's like, "Hey, got some Magic decks here. Want to come play?" It's like, yeah, at this point, it's been a couple years since I picked up a deck, so I was like, yeah, let's go for it. So we started playing Magic on the weekends and once or twice a week, and yeah, a couple months down the road, he's, "Have you heard of this Flesh and Blood game?" "No, I haven't." Started playing that and been hooked on it since. I started off as Briar and Tails, moved to Rhinar.
Took forever to get it off the Briar.
Absolutely. Bailey and I were dumping cards on it.
Literally just throwing Brute Majestics and stuff at him. "Ben, try Rhinar.
Try something
Or
else.
anyone, please."
Yeah, Channel Mountain Heroic was kind of a nuisance. But finally settled out on Mechanologist. My favorite hero to this day is still Datadol. My main competitive deck right now is my Dash, but I'm working on a Riptide to take to
Never gonna
Next
not be
season.
able to laugh when I hear that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Cliff.
Cliff will always be a Dash player in my mind, though.
Oh,
He
what about
says he
that,
loves Datadol, but
What about that new Prof Mechanologist that's coming?
is he gonna
Prof
be
Mechanologist?
Yeah.
They said that his class will be he's gonna be an actual mechanologist.
Yeah. Did you not see that?
I
It was
didn't-
like leaked in the same.
I should probably keep up on the news if we're
Yeah.
going to be a podcast.
It was like a leak in some like distributor book, in the same way that like Dusk Till Dawn.
No,
was
I didn't
leaked.
see it. That's
So
awesome.
They got like a whole. I think it's kind of like the Rhinar v Dorinthia kind of style, but no, he's gonna be a hero.
Wow. I
So
wonder
look at his
if
chops over there.
Look at his face.
Hold on.
This is
hold on.
new.
Did they confirm if like we're actually getting playable pieces in the decks, or will
So
it be-
nothing's been like confirmed by LSS.
I wonder if we're getting new like Met cards. If it's a way for them to
They
get
need
new
them.
Met cards.
They need them. They have the
Be a good
lowest
way.
amount.
I don't know if like they make a good one though, then you're locking that card in the product, kind of like the
like
the
what is it,
warrior
glistening
card,
steel blades?
singing steel blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
Or it
they'll-
is glistening. Yeah,
Glistening.
right.
Yeah.
listening.
That's
Someone
one
just
of
won
my
one of
favorite
those at our
cards.
shop yesterday.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, there's the card in there. Get that one. You know.
So good.
Anyways, sorry, we kind of interrupted Cliff.
We digress. And if I had to go to my favorite card, just because of the fun stuff you can do with it, I'm a big Sun's Kiss enjoyer.
Life game.
Yeah,
Always loves his life
You
game.
want to expound on that, please? Because we
Okay,
can't just
alright.
end it on I like Sun's Kiss, move on.
Yeah, fair
Okay, you
enough.
gotta explain yourself when you say these things.
So, Sun Kiss is the second part of an interaction with an attack action called Moon's Wish. When Moon's Wish hits, you can go get Sun's Kiss and reveal it and put it in your hand. If you play Sun's Kiss after you've attacked with Moon's Wish, you not only get the life gain effect, you card draw, and then you can go again. So, it's a 1 card, 3 pluses.
Hmm.
And since I run it with Briar, I can 1 pump the Moon's Wish to have it coming for 8. It hits or not. Use Suit Clips to give go again. Sun's Kiss to gain my Embodiment of Lightning and card draw. To another attack and do a Rosetta.
I mean,
it
seems good. Seems good.
It works.
How many times did you do that yesterday?
Oh, yesterday was rough. It was rough pickings yesterday.
So 0.
So we had our skirmish yesterday, and Cliff took his generic briar with that, and I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Did you get on stream? You were on stream.
He was on stream twice.
Twice?
He was on stream
Okay, I gotta
twice.
go check those games out.
For-
I gave him the
Go
opportunity.
get the season. I
Yeah.
will say he has played it into me one time and gained 16 life in a game playing against Kasai because I play Kasai, so it was hard to beat him. I barely did.
When it pops off, it pops off. However, when it's not, it's about the equivalent of a lump of coal.
So sounds a lot like Data Doll.
Hey, no Danadol slander. This
Come on,
in this house.
come on.
We got big deck energy over here. Alright, well,
Alright.
that's me. Who wants to take a
Ty?
Yeah, I can go next. I'm Tyler. I met these guys through Flesh and Blood, like Josh said, a couple years ago. I think it was around Tails we met.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning. Yep.
Yep. I had gotten into Flesh and Blood right around Crucible release. Basically, it was pretty much all due to Rudy. I mean, I watched his videos and saw this game on there, and it was like, wow, this looks incredible. And that was kind of right at a time where COVID was happening, and we didn't really have much going on at our shop. I mean, no shops were open playing, so it was a time of everyone was kind of looking for something new, and Fab really did it for me. I found the game and bought the pieces and had a collection before I even knew how to play the game. I swear to God, I had most of the Welcome to Raid set collected when Unlimited came out, and I didn't even know how to play the game yet. I just liked looking at the cards and just enjoying it.
Mr. Legendary.
Yeah, it was. But I started out in card games back in the 90s collecting Pokemon like all the 90s kids did, God, those shows would just get you hooked on that stuff.
Yeah.
My brother and I collected Pokemon for a few years, moved into Yu-Gi-Oh, did that, a couple, I would say 4th, 5th grade, something like that. Once I found Magic though, one of my friend's dad had Magic. I remember thinking, gosh, this is like a older man's card game, The art was so different than Yu-Gi-Oh, coming up from Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, and I was like, oh, if I could play this, I thought it would be so cool. And once I learned that game, it was, I didn't stop playing up until high school actually. In high school, it was like, you guys know, it's like playing card games in high school. It's not like the best. You bring on a lot of negative energy, I would say, not too much big deck energy.
Yeah.
I remember seeing kids at the lunch table playing Magic. It was all like the nerds, you call them, right? And I'd walk by and I'd look over and I just kind of see the creatures their guys are playing and the colors, and I know what was going on, but I would never say a word to them. I would walk right by. I don't know. I can't play Magic. But yeah, so I stopped actually playing in high school. After that, got back into Magic, played with my brother we played semi-competitively, I'd say. We played in a few RPTQs. He actually did a lot better than I did.
Yep.
In those, I never really had much success with that stuff. The vibe you got when you went into those places was just not. It's not the vibe I get. Even like the competitive FAB events are so much different, so much more open. The players, the community in this game is what kind of makes people stay. I think.
What made it for me really easy to get into it, especially down at our shop.
Yeah.
It was
Shout out Legends.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Well, I was about to get there. We so with the Magic scene at Legends, we had a guy named Joey that used to run the scene, and he would do all the tournaments, and it was like a pretty robust scene. We'd have 10, 12 guys at FNMs every night. We'd play Modern. We would play Standard even. We played a lot of Standard there. And that's how I first was introduced to Legends, was playing Standard with them. And after that, or after right before COVID, it started dying down. Then COVID hit and absolutely killed our Magic scene. It was like, after they opened back up, no one came back and played. It was like, it would be me and Sean, and then we would just show up and play a few games of Commander, and Steve would give us some pity packs, and we would be on our way like every week. It was bad. But we slowly started to grow it. And then it got to the point where it was only Commander. People just wanted to play Commander. There was no more Modern. There was no more actual competitive, like you were saying, one-on-one kind of what you wanted, or what I liked from Magic was that one-on-one, playing Modern, playing Standard, competitive. I like Commander, but when every FNM is a Commander, it can be a little stale. But we had a good group of guys going for that. Once I found Flesh and Blood and was able to talk Steve into kind of getting into it and figured out through James, actually, I messaged him directly, and he was so helpful. I'm like, hey, email this person, here's the steps to get your shop to, hold events, and Steve let us, he trusted me to do it, and ever since then, I feel bad to this day, but I stopped playing Magic completely and just started playing FAB there.
Yep.
And never looked back.
Yep.
And, luckily, though, that the Magic scene's still going there, which makes me very happy and proud, because I feel like I didn't, me leaving didn't ruin anything, which is important. But that's my kind of intro. I met these guys right at the start of when we started doing FAB there.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was what, six person armory?
Yeah, that was us four and Dylan and Tucker. Yeah, I think that was kind of, and Sean was one of our first players. So
and seeing where it's at now, just the Flesh and Blood scene in general, from where it was 2 years ago, how much it's grown, how much we've seen this community really take off. It's been crazy.
Yeah, well, even we had 18 players at our skirmish yesterday.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good for us being way out west. Away from the cities.
45-ish minutes away from a major
metropolitan
area.
About an hour from most of the other shops that are actually playing Flesh and Blood. So, and we did have a couple of people from the cities. Always love seeing Lily and Christian and Logan. Shout out to those guys. They came to I know Lily and Christian came to our skirmish last year for our festival event, and it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
We always get good turnouts there.
Yeah. For our bigger events our next step is like an RTN, and Steve said he's going to rent out the city hall, so we'll have a big room.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I know.
And he's going to
That'd be awesome.
He said he'd bring some product too. You can set up some stuff, so you could come out there and buy some stuff too while we're at the
RTN or ProQuest. I mean,
PTQ.
he always asks. He asks me what he's got to do, and I'm like, I actually don't know, man. I think he's got to.
See, I could help out just because I've done a lot of events. I did a lot of events doing ran a golf course for 6 years growing up through high school. So I ran golf tournaments all the time. I told them I'd help out all the time. So
another thing too about our community, I just want to say it's so awesome about it. Well, especially specifically for our shop is our tournaments are very much community ran. No one is saying, hey, we're going to play this. It's more of a, hey, what do you guys want to play?
Absolutely.
I know this month some of our players are going to Vegas for the Nats and the Calling, and so we're probably just going to play a bunch of CC, let everyone practice. And we've been playing a ton of Blitz. So
getting prepared for this past weekend.
For the skirmish, exactly. So I think that's another huge plus to what we have going on out here. It is very much community ran.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. You want to go with your intro?
Yeah. So I started playing Magic all because of I used to collect Pokemon cards when I was a kid. Never actually played the game. Yu-Gi-Oh! Too, collected those. Never played. And then Magic, my dad collected a ton of them, so I knew about it. Yeah, way back when it started. So I had some old cards, but he lost them somehow.
Of course.
Don't know. Yeah.
Probably lost them on some ship somewhere, like you.
Nope. Oh no, probably. Yeah, it's. But, you know, I just grew up into cards pretty much, so I ended up pulling some Pokemon packs one day during COVID. Ripped a couple good cards out of 5 packs, and I'm like, hey, let's go. Let's do this.
There's a couple Pokemon packs all took.
Collecting. So, my buddy Drew, shout out Drew Thiebolt, he's another one of our good friends, plays down there with us sometimes, but he's up in North Fargo, so we don't see him a ton. But he was like, hey, look at this game. Like, the cards are expensive. You could flip them if you don't end up liking the game. I was like, okay. So I bought a box down at Legends, and Steve was telling me all about this, and it was Tales of Aria First Edition. Ripped a Heart of Ice, and I was like, okay, what? This seems fun, and I started looking at the heroes and the art, and it was just gorgeous. I loved every aspect of it.
Tales is such a beautiful set.
And after learning about the game, I figured out that it was just like Mortal Kombat, essentially in cards, and I love Mortal Kombat. Grew up playing it all the time, just combos, one-on-one.
Oh yeah.
And you're with another person, so you actually get to see them compared to playing behind a screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I went down to Legends because Steve told me there was a guy teaching Flesh and Blood for upcoming events. And it ended up being this guy. And I brought Cliff down with me, and I just built a dory, and I was like, let's go down there, play Sean, and whooped him.
Yeah, he was a prodigy at the time. God damn it, Sean.
Whooped him first game. I was like, this game's amazing. I was like, this is awesome. So I just kept going with Dory, and I've just been a big Warrior stan, so that's where I stick.
Yeah.
I love playing Warrior. I love Kasai, Dory. It's just fun gaining counters on the Dawnblade.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't think we got your favorite class too. We were talking about maybe talking about our favorite class, maybe even like a favorite card. I know this mad lad over here picked. Was it Moon's Kiss? Sun's Wish?
Controversial pick.
Sun's Wish? What is it?
Moon's Wish, Sun's Kiss.
Sun's Wish. Got it.
Yeah. Circle
If you want, I'll change it to even bigger than that.
Hey, that's actually a good card.
That's a good card.
That's
a
like
good
that.
card. That's a good card.
But yeah.
But what?
Circle back to that.
I mean, okay.
No, yeah, I was just
Yeah,
reminding
no,
us to
absolutely.
Bailey to.
But no, I just got into it with Ty, and Ty's like, yeah, I'll teach you the ropes. And it ended up kicking my ass for about three months until finally beat him once.
You guys, dude, I remember first going, and there was really a fine line on organizing the events that you're playing in, and it's all against new players. So like, I had to be careful where like I was winning a lot of events just by default. I was familiar with the game.
Yep.
I understanding. I think blocks too early on is like something that it's a learning curve, and once you kind of understand that, you see more success. And now I can't even win an armory. You guys just give me a run through my money or for my money every week, and it's great. It's honestly great to see.
It's cool that we met you just because you were so intelligent into the game actually, so it just helped us.
Yeah, I also
smooth right into it.
I have the means to like open a lot of products, so I have a lot of bulk for you guys. Just, like, you guys need wares and commons, please. Yeah, look at this book up there in the corner.
I got box on box.
Yeah.
I love to give away wares and commons,
The
dude.
boxes back there are unopened, right?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, but no, it was just super fun. I enjoyed every bit of the game and got these guys into it. I never really had any playing background into games other than Flesh and Blood, so it was pretty easy going into it, just trying to learn a new game and learn every aspect of the game and not really know too much about others because it's not really similar to any other game.
No, I would say Flesh and Blood takes a lot of the good aspects of games and it kind of wraps them all into one.
Yes.
You know, like it does. It's like Commander in a way where you pick a hero or like your commander, sort of, and you build your deck around that, and maybe the ability of the hero. But it also like the pitch system is what really makes the game special, and that makes it so there basically are no non-games like there are in Magic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I pitch stacking is a totally different
I think
conversation in itself. But
the
ability to pitch stack is insane in this game.
True.
The whole pitch system is kind of what drew me into it because there was never that feels bad moment of getting mana screwed or mana flooded, like in other games. Like there was always something that you could do on your turn
True.
that would make a difference throughout the course of the game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like you were sitting there with an empty hand, like, well, I guess nothing I can do. Go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get caught in those situations, very end game, if you're just stuck blocking because you lost too much life. But that's part of the game.
Yeah.
You can still make a turn.
Yeah,
it's
very
what
much
do you
about
do?
Something
managing
earlier.
all these different
Mistakes were
aspects.
made.
Yeah.
I remember thinking too when me and Johnny first were learning the game. I was like, this game is just Magic, but everything has trample. I'm like, okay, attack for 7, he blocks for 5, takes 2. I'm like, block, attack for 3, he doesn't block. It's just like this minimal damage over and over. And I thought it was actually very plain at first. I was like, it's fun. I loved the hero setup and you get to pick your arms, your legs, your chest.
Yeah.
That RPG feel is what sold me.
Amazing.
But I remember thinking the gameplay was actually very vanilla. And then you learn more and you kind
True.
of see the layers of it and the blocking versus attack. When you block, you have a worse turn, and the pitch stacking of it really, really made it where I was like, oh, this isn't just a simple game on its face. Like, the game is incredibly complex, which is,
True.
like you said, what brought me into it too, or the appeal to it.
Yeah, you start getting into the complexities of like pitch stacking and things
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
and like setting up for that end game. Whereas like just starting out, like that wasn't even a thought. It was like
you're
I
trying to
just
dump
wanna-
your hand.
I
Yeah,
want to go in
Yep.
and smash face. And
pitch
that's
all your
what,
blues.
Like, drew me to Guardian right away, and it was like I have 3 blues, pitch all of them. Here's something for 20 damage, and they're like, okay, cool. And then in
Walk it off.
game, here I am with fistfuls of
all your blues.
and
Yeah. You learn real quick. You're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, there's something going on here.
Pitching all blues feels so good in the early game until you cycle back to them and you're like, I am doing 2 damage a turn.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
But
why. Go ahead.
But I mean, it helps even if you get like stuck with a hand. You just attack and just play mid and then set up. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
easy,
Yeah.
and you just got to block during those turns.
Yeah.
Very vital, and it's
recognizing your off turns on which hands are blocking and which are not is part of that.
Yeah.
once you go more into depth in the game, figure out like sideboarding. It makes the game so
Oh,
much
that
even
too.
better.
Oh, yeah.
Makes it so much even better.
Whole other aspect.
100%. And
But
the
that-
sideboarding pre-game. Like
Yeah.
You get
Yep.
to do it before there's one game and both decks pre-sideboard,
Yep.
which is
Amazing.
it's incredible. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Love the design there.
But I mean, this game really brought us all together, and we really enjoy it. But why don't we get into our skirmish here?
Yeah,
Let's
let's talk about
the skirmish.
Yeah,
some of our
did you-
favorite
Hey,
cards.
what about
and
your favorite
stuff?
class? Favorite
Oh.
card?
Hey. I love to play warriors. I love warriors. I
Yeah,
love
we can do that.
love Dorian Kasai. So it's, and my favorite card would have to be probably Blood on Her Hands. That
Yeah.
card is it's so overturning.
The value you get from that card
It's
is
insane.
so
I feel like
above
every
range.
time I lose to his Kasai,
It's always
It's amazing. If you get stuck with tempo and then you have Blood on Her Hands, it's just a free everything, and you crack your Courage of Blade Hole, free swings throughout the whole turn.
Yeah.
You pitch your 1 blue to buff 3 times throughout the whole turn.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Crazy.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
It's
If you
it's
even
so
have
strong.
if you have Twinning Blade, you can swing 5 times in a turn. Or if you run the Nature's which one is that? Dust Path Pilgrimage. If it hits, it may swing an additional time.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with that card. Is that like the
It's Monarch.
dark version of
Yes.
the good?
Yes.
Isn't there a-
Yep.
Okay.
It's not a Monarch. It's
Yeah.
it's for the axes obviously, but it's just a one-handed weapon, I think, or not even. It's just a weapon. It's just weapon. But
Dust Path. Is it just a weapon? I think it's sword.
No.
One of them is definitely weapon.
it's just I think
Oh.
it's just weapon.
I think
Interesting.
a lot of warrior cards actually say weapon because of they're
So
part of them.
broad.
Yeah, they're
It has
so
to-
versatile. They're able to use different weapons,
Yeah.
sword, axe, whatever. And so most of their pumps say weapon. I
It's
think.
kind of what makes them viable, which
Yeah.
sucks about some of them because like the Courage of Blade Hold only says sword.
Oh, does
so
it?
it does
Yeah.
not.
Oh,
work.
Courage
Yeah.
only
Shows how much I know.
Could
about
you
warriors.
imagine courage with the axes? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
be horrible.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I didn't say my favorite class. I started the game playing Rangers. I mean, they'll always have a special place in my heart. I'm probably going to play them in Vegas end of this month, next month, those will come out. Anyways.
End of August.
Yeah. But honestly, so I remember going to the skirmishes, getting my teeth kicked in. This was like right after COVID when they first let us play Flesh and Blood at real tournaments.
In Flesh
Four
and Blood?
full foils. I mean, this was, and I would drive an hour down to Mankato with Johnny, and I'd play Azalea and go 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 2. Just, I mean, it was good enough. It was fun, but once Monarch came out and I found Prism, I mean, Illusionist. I don't think I can. Yeah, the play patterns in Prism, the weird control style of the deck, while also having the ability to like just turn on on a dime to an aggressive play style is.
Yeah, I love it. 6 attacks.
Yeah, right. And if you catch people without poppers and you have those like perfect war tune turns with like an erudition, I mean, it gets ridiculous. I used to play Tome too. I know a lot of Prisms were off Tome, but the light of the Vestige of Soul plays with the 1 blue. Yeah, it's that can just be nasty. But my favorite, so I would say my favorite class is probably Illusionist, even though I've been playing like Rangers, and I'm currently playing Rangers right now. My favorite card, though, you guys are going to be like, this is obvious. Did anyone guess it? Anyone? Anyone?
Arclight?
No. It's not even an Illusionist card.
Is it
When I say it, you guys are going to be like, duh.
Rain Racers?
No.
It's all the
Full Set Racers.
Pummel.
Oh, yeah.
It's Pummel.
Pummel is such a good
It just
card,
slots so well into so many
If I can
different
use
things.
Pummel in a deck, I usually use Pummel in a deck. Sometimes I'll even force Pummel into decks that it's not supposed to be in there because I just love that card so much.
Pummel Katsu? What?
Even like the threat of Pummel. Like having your opponent just overblock and you don't have Pummel feels incredible.
Yeah, I mean, having
So-
just like 2 resources with nothing to do,
Yeah.
there's always that thought in the back of your my head, at least, after playing the use
Well,
so
that's
many
what I know.
times,
It's funny
does he have a
because
pummel? Is there-
I switched from Cheyenne. We can talk about this. Is kind of a good segue into our skirmish. I almost played Cheyenne for this skirmish, but you guys all know the deck. There's 6 pummels in it.
Yep.
You just overblock every turn, and she just does nothing and dies because she doesn't have armor. It's like typical. So now all of our locals know how to beat my Cheyenne deck. So I might have surprised some of our players, but I switched to Lexi for our skirmish. Let's see, I went 3 and 2. Made the top 8. I think I placed like 4th, but top 8 and 18 is 3 and 2 is gonna get in there.
Yep.
Lost to a really good player of ours named Kellen on Levia. I mean, he absolutely smashed me.
Oh,
You
that
guys
was
were,
brutal.
you guys got to sit there and you guys got to sit by and watch that game. I also punted pretty hard, and I mean, I was like probably 6 or 7 beers deep at that point. Our skirmish was.
It was Rails to Trails.
Yeah,
So
it was our festival. It was our annual summer festival. So they had Main Street closed off, and they had beer tents and cheese curds up the wazoo.
So,
But I punted, played at Art of War, didn't have the attack action to banish to draw 2 because I pitched the attack action. So that was good. That was good.
I remember that.
I think I might have had him that turn. If I draw 2 and it was close. I mean, I think I was at 1 though. So if I don't kill him that turn, I'm dead.
Because he was only at 4, wasn't he?
No, he was at like he was at 13. He had just gone down from.
No, I thought you still got him somehow.
Oh, I might have. Yeah, I remember he even
He was
transformed
like
his.
7 or 4.
He was Plasma Fed at one point. He transformed into Plasma Fed and just.
Well, that was turned
Oh,
off.
dude,
So
it
playing
was playing all of his cards
Yeah.
from Vanish. It was like, geez, gave him go again with the boots. It was a rough game. But 3 and 2, lost in the first round of top 8. Was a good day. It's definitely a good day. What about you, Josh?
Well, I played out with Kasai. All my games were very close, but I went 2-3. Forgot my Norun. How do you do that? But the game was so close.
The wizard?
I dodged the wizard. I dodged the Kano the whole time, but it was against Carter, our very good player there that we have. He was on Vincent, and he had it figured out. Let me tell you, in Blitz for sure.
Yeah, his Vincent deck seems to have a lot of success.
Yeah.
I know a lot of players are trying to find the footing. It seems like he might have found something.
Yeah.
Cracks the code.
Oh, I think he's got it.
He's a
I
good deck.
think
He's
he's
a good
got
deck
it.
for sure.
He's unbelievable on Rune Blades, but so I lost to him, and then I lost to our Dash player that ended up winning. He almost decked himself, but let me tell you that sideboard now in the skirmish. helped him out because otherwise he would have been decked. And I had 7 copper.
No blood on her hand.
No blood on her hand.
He won. Joe was making the joke how when we figured out with the new Blitz rules, we'll get into the new Blitz rules too and our opinions on what we think about that later. But he found out he could play more than 40 cards, and in a dash deck that might be relevant if you're boosting and you're getting rid of your deck. He's lost a lot of games to decking himself with that, so he played more than 40 cards all day, and
it worked out.
Yeah.
Worked out for him.
Makes sense.
Otherwise I bubbled out. Somehow, even just barely made bubble out with 2 and 3.
I think 1, 2, and 3 made it in though. I think Nathan
did. Fun story.
So
he put up a good fight.
Yeah. All 2 and 3.
He was on stream during that.
Oh yeah, no, I heard back and watch. I haven't watched anything.
Yeah. But
I was not too.
Walked out with the cold foil Genesis here.
No, well that's mine. He just doesn't know. He doesn't know yet. It's my card. I don't know why we're
Step
doing
into
it.
the office, buddy.
Brought my trade.
But no, it was fun. Otherwise, had a good time. All games were close and it was very fun. It was a good turnout, 18 people. So
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It was basically all of our locals.
Yeah.
Plus a few that were not locals.
Yeah.
And it's like every once in a while we'll get an armory where there's 12 of us, where most of our locals like that.
Yeah. And we always get a pretty good turnout, I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, minimum 8 or 9.
It usually is, yeah.
And then pushing 15 sometimes.
I know.
Some randoms.
Our armories have been really great.
Yeah. Great community out here too. It's beautiful. But Bailey, how about you?
Yeah, so I also ended up going 2 and 3. I think there was 3 or 4 of us that I think it was me and Nathan.
Yeah.
I was on Vincent, and she treated me well some games. She did not treat me well others. There were a couple of misplays in there, just trying to figure out the new play patterns involved with her and everything like that. She's been really tough to crack. That negotiable banish at the start of the turn is rough sometimes if we don't have like a blood deck card or rune gate or something.
Were you playing flail?
Yeah, I was flail grimoire.
Yeah. Carter and I were talking about how the flail lets you if you ever are forced to still banish that last card, the flail kind of allows you to still attack if you need to.
Yeah.
For 0.
Well, I mean that still works for if you revel in rune blood, if you have Kogan and such. Wouldn't it?
Well,
Yeah,
if
but
you're
it
left
means
with,
an
if it's
attack
like in the
on
arsenal,
attack,
I'm saying like if you're left with 1 card in hand and it's non-negotiable banish, you have to get rid of that card. Now you don't have resources for the turn, I guess. So flail will still if you have rune chance or something rune gated from the turn before, you can just play these huge value turns. I feel like with the deck, you just start blocking with most or all of your hand, and still flail can kind of have a nice swing back at least.
True.
Yeah, and that's the flail. I'd say there's an argument for running the Scepter of Pain. I was 50-50 on whether or not I was going to be running that or flail yesterday.
What does that card do?
So it's 2 resource for a once per turn action to deal 1 arcane, and if it does damage, you create a rune chant. And other than the not using your life as a resource to attack, the big thing there is it doesn't use your rune chants to do damage. It's just 1 arcane. If you let it go through, I'm just going to keep building up rune chants. And flail kind of does the pattern where it'll use the rune chant that you made at the start of the turn, but you get 1 back if they let it hit.
Yeah.
But some of it is relying a little too much on your opponent and to give them the option of whether or not they're going to give you that rune chant.
Yeah. Well, because I was going to say in Vincent, the rune chants aren't just rune chants, right? They're like mana they're resources in a way,
Yeah.
A lot more valuable
with an effect.
in Vincent.
It's just huge.
Giving your opponent that kind of control over whether or not you get those resources.
Yeah.
I would say there's an argument for Scepter of Pain. Whether or not it's good, I think remains to be seen. But there's still a lot of crack in the code. I think that has to be done with Vincent.
There's something there, though. I mean, there's something there. It's pretty clear with Carter's deck. He's been winning a ton with it.
Yeah.
So
it's very different play patterns from other rune blades, and I mean, especially I think a lot of the chain players coming off of him into Vincent are kind of struggling to figure out those patterns too, where
Yeah.
Chain was just like, okay, I'm just going to play 5-6 cards a turn, and what are you going to do about it? Vincent very much needs that setup.
Yeah.
True.
So your record was, what'd you say, 2-3 you said?
2-3. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Cliff,
What about you, Cliff?
been waiting patiently.
Okay. We don't have to go into records here.
What?
Um,
That's the segment. We're not going to the records.
0-4. 0-4.
Wait, no, it was
Hey,
5
no,
rounds.
that's
It was 5
5.
rounds.
0-5.
It was 5.
0-5.
0-4 drop.
So we'll have the stream up.
He went to go get
I was
another
on
beer.
stream twice, and I was the maniac on the full generic deck for Brian. And the deck's goal is to basically be a nuisance. I'm trying to get Moon's Wish go again so I can play my Son's Kiss to push anywhere between 12 to 20 damage and gain anywhere from 5 to 9 life in a turn.
Amazing.
When it's working, the deck is a force to be reckoned with. When it actually comes together, it is amazing.
And so,
Due to jank factor, however,
legitimate question, how often does it work?
well, it works well on you guys. When I was at the shop, though, it just was not firing.
Oh.
I had about 2 turns where it was doing good work. It felt really good doing a Slogism and a Captain's Call into a Moon's Wish. 15 go again.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. That deck is so much fun, but I'm just trying to make it that it can compete for those.
Yeah. That's
'Cause
like,
right now, for most of the heroes, there's a set deck list. That even if it's like
or at
6
least a
cards
core of it.
different,
Yeah.
it's going to basically be the same. I'm trying to get a deck that's just so out there, away from most of the meta cards, to try to show that it's still viable to try things.
That's what I was trying to do, honestly, with the Shyana deck, is just like put this crazy, weird deck together with all these dumb cards that shouldn't work together and see if I can win, you know? And,
I think that's really cool. Like, you pushing the limits of the game and see.
Well, yeah, I was
how you
talking
can
to
break things.
Dylan about this. He, like, the fact that he can play his Prism deck and just put Talishar in it and put Razor Reflex in it and just, like, catch people on these weird, like... And then I think he even has Pummel in the deck, you know? And so...
I mean, you get Razor for Talishar.
Well, yeah, he's one off of a blue in hand, a Razor, and he had to, like, block out... This was weekends ago, but he blocked out... He saw the line, thankfully. It was so awesome. I like, saw him see the line, and he's like, oh, shit. He, like, perked up. He's like, I have a Razor. Talishar has a sword. I have a blue. Let's go! Fucking... Oh, man. And it just goes to show just how, like, you can really express your, like, creative part, and kind of like in Magic, where the colors give you the theme. You can just, like, add generics in certain, like I said with Pummel. Like, if you have 2 costs, just add Pummel and see what happens. You can just try unorthodox things in the game, which I love, you know.
No, you gotta go all generics, not some.
All generics means you probably just go 0-5.
Oh no, not might mean. It means you go 0-5. Mark my words, I'm gonna make that deck work. I'm gonna top 8 with that.
No.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, you gotta come down and actually play them.
I'm gonna top 8 up there.
Okay.
Community's not as big. Come on. You gotta have a good competition.
Yeah, no, that way I just signed in and then I get top 8. It's great.
One thing I did want to say, just to keep the conversation going a little, we haven't really like addressed kind of what we are. I mean, we're gonna kind of just be an all-around Flesh and Blood podcast. Basically, whatever we want to talk about, we're gonna talk about. If you guys want to listen,
Go for it.
Fucking awesome, you know?
Yeah, I mean, everything from going over banned and restricted announcements,
all of it,
upcoming Pro Tour, Nationals events, that kind of thing. Giving our like input on the meta, what we think we're seeing.
The big deck energy.
Big
Here,
deck
baby.
energy.
We're gonna show you what it's all about, and we really, really appreciate you guys viewing. You know, we're not the best players, but we're here to do our thing. And try to teach you guys about the game.
Yeah, I'd say we're a little more on the casual side. Definitely, some of us have like done okay at our RTNs and PQs and stuff. But yeah, I think just an all-around discussion about Fab is kind of what we're gonna, and it's gonna be open discussion as you guys see. We're gonna kind of all try to be in the same room.
But yeah, kind of going back to that, bringing different players from the shop in. I think like a couple times a month. And just getting input from other players in the community.
Yeah, we have got a pretty big community, and all of our players are. Another thing too to kind of note is like, we're all friends. Which like friends first. You know, we're competing against each other, and it is kind of weird because we all are very competitive. We're playing for cards that are worth money. So but like to separate that competitive edge with the fact that like we're all friends is what we've done a really good job at doing. All right, for the most part, most of our players are great at that.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them have been. We've talked to a lot of our players about coming on and giving their opinions, or just like almost like a interview segment,
or even had
for them. You know,
coming to us.
And anybody else too. I mean, if you have opinions, we'd love to hear them, and we want you to send some questions in.
Yep.
Let us know. Tell us what you guys think.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to
We
have.
want to hear it.
You know, listener questions to go over every weekend or every week we do this. So that'd be another thing we want to do. But yeah, just to I just wanted to mention all this because we're new. We're just starting out. We're gonna have a lot of learning curves to go through, and you guys are gonna be here with us to kind of help us along through that. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Going back to our skirmish, I think we need to talk about those blitz rules changes for the skirmish.
Oh yes, we didn't get our opinions.
What do we think about the sideboards?
It's true.
Go ahead, Josh.
I think they were amazing. I loved every aspect. I think they should keep it. I mean, it was probably a good test out here in Blitz for it, and doing a high event for it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
And it just opens up the playing field for everybody. So you're not stuck with like, let's say, Sink Below in your deck when you're playing against a wizard.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I think it not eliminates, but really reduces those feels bad moments of I'm playing Kano and I have 6 or 8 D reacts that are really only good for pitch now.
Right. And they're red.
So here's AB1.
Woo. My take on it, I guess, like anecdotally, it had no effect on my games. With my armor suite I ended up with in my deck, it left 2 slots for actual cards, and I just put 2 poppers in
for 2 away.
Just in case.
I chose poppers. I know none of our players really are playing Kano, and Kano ended up showing up, but didn't play him. But yeah, like I think for the most part, it's not going to change much about the Blitz format. Like,
I think still
in the
being
grand scheme of things.
limited.
Yeah, you might have your like pockets of like metas where there's like a ton of wizards, and now those wizards aren't going to be playing wizard as much because everyone gets to have Oasis Respite in their sideboard. Like I understand some of the kind of negative feedback I guess I've heard, but I also don't think it's going to affect Blitz as a whole as much. I mean, even looking back at my games, I didn't sideboard in one of those poppers. I didn't play against.
Prism.
I think
there was
you get a lot of value out of
Prism
your
there. There was one, but I didn't play him either, and that's our good buddy Dylan.
Yeah, he was on this Prism.
I mean, there are some heroes that benefit from it more than others, and I think seeing Joe take the win yesterday with Dash with those open slots and just being able to run.
Yeah, he just had the 5
more than
equipment, right?
40 cards. I mean, Dash doesn't really use a lot of extra equipment anyways. And having those sideboard slots open to run more than 40 in the main deck when you're boosting away and doing whatever with those extras.
Yeah, I suppose you're right though. That actually is kind of a big deal. Having that be a dynamic in Blitz now is or just like any fatigue deck. Like look at Tucker's Riptide. You know him. Yeah. He played a bunch of great games yesterday, and he played more than 40 cards in every game, and it lets those decks just have an extra edge. You know, I don't know if they need an extra edge. Fatigue sucks to play against.
What was the secret spice
with Oldham now?
Drone of Brutality. Drone of Brutality in it.
Yeah.
So he ended up using it one game, didn't he?
Yeah.
Got stuck on the.
I think he was like the old school 1 blue and a drone cycle. But I think so. Actually, what you said made me almost change my mind a little bit. Not totally. I don't think it will affect Blitz as much as people think, but it does give like fatigue decks a ton of more like play and playability, or just those like long games that you might want to play. But it also does reduce the consistency of your deck if you're playing more than 40 and
True.
your opponent is an aggro deck that's running
Yeah.
a concise list.
They're 40 card core.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's what Dylan said. He's like, I didn't change my sideboard. He's like, I just ran my 40 and my normal equipment. And he's like, run it, you know?
Yeah, he went 2 and 3 as well. But
What do you think about the changes, Cliff?
Well, as you guys know, I'm a mech player.
Yeah.
So I think the ability to have any extra cards in your main board for a mech is going to be a big deal.
Yep.
Because you're basically getting rid of 2 cards for playing 1 card. Like, you play your attack and you boost it to give go again. That attack's going to go to the graveyard and the card you boosted is in your banish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for
Just
playing
eat your
that
deck up.
card, you X yourself too.
Yeah.
That going into old hymns was always extremely scary. Because it's like, I'm doing 2 damage and I'm losing 6 cards on this turn.
Yeah.
So it's the ability to have that extra cardage is great.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because for those fatigue matches in Blitz, I would honestly never use the ability to tackle a Foundry unless I absolutely had to. Because
Yeah.
that's just
That's
Xing out
the
2 more
boost
cards.
2 off the top, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
banish 2 off the top and
Yeah.
you got a resource for each mech card.
This card is so strong.
Yeah.
But it's great in CC because you have the extra time. You
Sure.
know?
Extra.
But for Blitz, it's a fatigue game.
You even run more than a 60 card core in your CC deck, don't
My
you?
my CC is completely filled except for my equipment and weapon slots.
And I mean, hey, you piloted that to some success at our last RTN, didn't you?
Yeah, I bubbled. I ended up 9th or 10th with it. Went through.
No, you were 9th.
You were 9.
You were 9.
Yep.
The
Sorry.
actual bubble.
Yeah,
The real bubble.
the real bubble.
Well, that just hurts even more.
Well, no, man. That's the ninth is like
yeah.
it's still a testament though
That's
how
a
you played.
really good
Ninth
day.
is
Mhm.
pretty much all RTN. I think I placed 11th in 3 of them.
Yeah.
So
Just barely not
Oh,
getting there. It's,
yeah.
well, you did one time. I mean,
Yeah. Well, so yeah, there was thinking back to like when I said we were pretty casual. Like Carter is one of our players, and he's played in the Pro Tour. He qualified for NAS this year. He qualified last year as well.
yep.
I had some minor success in the Pro Quest season 1, won like a gold foil and stuff, but wasn't able to go to France, unfortunately. You know, my daughter was just getting born at the time, and it was just bad timing, really.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
actually kind of a bitch when it comes to flying. I hate flying. I absolutely hate flying. But I am going to Vegas at the end of the month, and my wife's coming with me, so I get to cry on her shoulder in the plane, and
There you
it's
go.
going to be great, dude. So
Just take a.
we do play a little bit competitively over here. Just it is very casual. Like I said, we're all friends, so
Yeah, it's
helps with that aspect of it.
I love you guys, but I'm always trying to kick your ass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that really sums up the kind of vibe that we have going on around here.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all here to like try to win. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
But
at the end of the day, we're not ruining friendships over
No. Or what? We're not trying to. You know, we've
Yeah.
had some weird shop stuff in the past, and it's
true.
it's a clash of personalities, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, where not everyone's on the same page. Not everyone's there to be friends. You know, and that's not every card shop is like that. You gotta like
Yeah.
really appreciate the ones that are, because there's so few and far between, honestly.
True.
Yeah.
I've been into some card shops that just
No.
don't feel at all inviting, you know, and no one there wants to talk and shoot the shit, and it's like that's not what cards are about, you know.
Yeah.
That's what Flesh and Blood does good at, I think. Like the sentiment of the game, what James always says, is bringing people together. You know, in the Flesh and Blood, it's
Yeah.
very much about that.
And I think
Absolutely.
even on those like competitive circuits, compared to other kind of card games, the atmosphere and the vibe there is very different too. Like everyone's still very like welcoming and open,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's a
Even at the top
really
tables,
good competitive environment.
yeah, even at the top tables, everyone's for the most part pretty good dudes. There's a few bad apples, I mean, but
That's good.
There
to
always
happen.
is.
it always is in every community, you know. But I think for the most part, Minnesota has a great scene.
It
We
does.
have an awesome scene.
We see a lot of play. We had a battle harden here one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should almost get another one. Didn't they draw in at least?
I think it's time for a calling, honestly. I think it's
Minnesota
time
should
for a
get a
calling.
call.
Yeah.
Nationals.
Yeah.
Hey, the Minneapolis Convention Center is pretty
Oh,
big,
yeah.
and it's
Oh, yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I've gone to plenty of conventions there, and I enjoy it. The golf conventions are amazing. So
We can't get one until I can start taking PTO off, though.
One thing I want to say too, circling back to like kind of us all being friends, and I would say we're more of like a team, honestly.
true.
We really are a team, in terms of testing whenever one of us has those tournaments coming up or whatever. I know Christian said yesterday he was like, oh, I always love coming out here, and seeing you guys always jump out of a van at the events and stuff. He's the Legends on Game Cruise here. It just made me smile, man. It just made me so happy, and because you just don't see that. You don't see a whole LGS hop in a dad van and drive across the state. Compete at these events, where we've done that a ton over the years as a shop. Speaking of that, we need some goddamn shirts, Jared, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we need some Legends on Main shirts, okay, so we can wear those in Vegas. I know a couple of our guys are going, so.
We need to get those soon.
Yeah.
We need to rep them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give them a good shout out.
yeah, good. Adam sitting here.
That's a free ad there, Jeff.
Free ad. We'll be doing a lot of Legends on Main ads. That's the name of our LGS. If you guys haven't got that yet.
Bill us later.
Yeah, I think
We're not professional.
I do
enough
take
to keep
payments
us
in
on
cases
sale.
as well.
That's true, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But
Yeah.
I mean, let's get into the. You played Bullseye Bracers and Skirmish because they weren't banned.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. I actually had
how'd
something to
that
ask you
feel?
about that.
How'd that feel to play?
I mean, it felt like Rangers were supposed to feel. I mean, I don't know. The card has been a staple of all Ranger classes since the game's inception, or since the class's inception, really, not the game, but they came out in Arcane along with Bullseye. That was their premier gloves. I mean, I get when you read their reasoning. I get it. I do get it. I'm just a biased Ranger player that says, "Fuck this ban." You have to run Hornet Sting now or Toxic Tips. I guess it's probably Hornet Sting. You can get the 2 value out of it.
Neither
Well,
of them really
otherwise-
do the same thing.
No, they don't. And it's like, is it enough to push Lexi down?
No.
Is the question. Well, it is in that I have in some testing playing without it. There have been turns where I'm like, man, if this was a Bullseye Bracers, this turn is.
Yeah.
This is what you're able to kind of do on those crazy Rain Razor turns. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of bans in general. I just feel like the balancing part of the card game should be in design. And when it's released, I know, leave it up to all of us degenerates to break the cards, right? That's what card gamers do. We break all the cards and find all the combos. And I understand no company can have the manpower to figure out and balance everything perfectly.
Go ahead and give us Duskblade back, LSS.
Yeah. They banned that before it even came out. Jeez.
It's a better Dom blade. I mean,
That's a whole other.
but other than that, I mean, they need to make some tough calls on some cards.
Yeah.
And I really do like LSS's approach to bans, where it's
They're
like
pretty ban happy. They're not afraid to ban stuff.
No.
Which I say I don't like bans, and on the other hand, I say they do a good job with bans. So it's weird, man. I prefer no bans. I prefer which is why I'm actually very excited for LL, baby.
But
That format is going to be wild. It's going to start with 0 bans.
for the most part, the decisions on suspensions and bans that they have made have had good reasoning behind them.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a game designer or
Yeah.
hard. I just play the game, and I've heard a lot of Ranger players say they don't like the ban, but they're Ranger players. Everyone who hates Rangers are saying, "Yeah, let's go."
Ben, what do you think playing Riptide? Is that a big effect for you? Did that happen to you or
Not at all.
anything?
I don't use Bullseyes and Riptide. I use the Toxic Tips. Because for Riptide, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to push 2 attacks each turn, pushing 2 on hits.
Mhm.
So if I can Toxic Tip to do a bolt and shot with now the additive effect of reload and a blood pox, and then do like a immobilizing or infecting shot, that's a lot of value just for those 2 attacks.
Yeah, for sure.
That's true.
It definitely hits. I don't know if it hits Riptide very much. It hits
No.
Azalea.
Riptide is kind of just in this weird space off on his own while Lexi and Azalea are off doing whatever.
I
Yeah,
love
that's true.
Riptide
They're
so
different
much.
heroes for sure.
Very, very different kind of ranger.
Yeah.
I mean,
from the looks of it too, it's not like Lexi really got pushed down a big peg. She's
No,
still
yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
I mean, she still
top
has
in
three of her
tournaments.
kind. She
Yeah.
still has access to all of those like key main deck cards
Yeah.
that enable her. She's just losing out on that.
It's a little consistency.
Yeah.
You lose bullseye bracers, it brings the consistency down on the deck. I just think the bolt and shot play with that card is the bread and butter of a ranger.
Yeah.
Those crazy ranger turns, and not having access to that now is. I mean, yeah, it just sucks. I don't know. It just sucks, quite frankly. I don't like it. I was planning on playing Rangers, one of them, in Vegas, and now I gotta figure something else out. Either I'm playing Azalea without them, or probably
Play
Iceland.
Azalea with Bracers of Belief.
Yeah, I've heard bracers is like a replacement because you get the +3 sometimes.
I've been
Yeah.
using Bracers on Bolton for like a year and a half now.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean there are some options out there. Even the Hornets thing, you get like 2 value at best out of it.
Yeah.
true.
So yeah, it's tough. I don't know. What do you guys think about the band? Did you guys even
As a fellow Lexi player, I have not been enjoying it.
Yeah, it's not the best.
just looking at that toxic tips or that Hornet sting or whatever, where bullseye bracers
Yeah.
could have been.
You almost
I mean,
like
at least,
you go to like break your bracers and you're like,
yeah, like at least Lexi still has access to shock charmers.
Yep.
But
You have to
it
build the
doesn't
deck, I
give
think, in a
you-
way to
you have
utilize
to build
that.
it out
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
differently.
have your deal damages matter or whatever.
And it doesn't help with those bolt and shot turns like bullseye bracers did.
Yeah.
True. Where you could really enable some really, really good chains.
Bring back stubby hammers.
Dylan's screaming into the screen right now.
Come on, stubby!
Oh Jesus.
I'm sad I never played around with stubbies before they got banned.
Oh,
that
they-
card looks like so much fun.
They were very good.
In Phi too, that made a world of difference for a whole.
I mean,
string of
I didn't even get them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for a
They
little bit.
pre-banned them before.
No,
No,
Phi
no,
got
no,
them.
no, no,
Phi
no.
got them.
No, there was it was the
Phi got stubbies with the minnowism belittle.
it
Yeah.
was the ProQuest season that I got that gold foil.
Yeah.
The following weekend after that weekend, I played a Phi and I played Prism and just got smoked. I mean, it wasn't even a close game at all. And it was off of a Stubby's turn it was gosh, who was it? Anyways, it was one of the locals I know, that one of our good players in Minnesota, but he just smashed me with Stubby in the Phi. I mean, it wasn't even close. It was literally, I think, on turn 1 or 2 that
Oh,
yeah,
just got
he did the whole
Yeah.
thing, the Art of War,
Yep.
the Stubbies, all the stuff. I think he was even like what's the Encroaching Flames maybe that gives the all of them +1, or there's like a
That's
Uprising.
Is it Uprising?
Yeah.
all draconic attacks.
Maybe that's
plus
what
one.
It's the
Yeah,
it's the next 4. The
it
next
was-
4
it was
draconic
insane.
attacks.
It was
yeah.
crazy.
Well, I mean you're pushing 5-6 damages or 5-6 attacks each turn with 5 if you have it correctly built.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Stubbies, art, and that are +3 to the first bar, and everything after that's +2.
Episode and then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we know we are shooting for like a weekly?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll kind of, if we're able to do it, I think we should. Like I said, we're gonna kind of play this by ear. We're just gonna let the punches roll and see what works really, and if we can do a weekly with Cliff's schedule. I know. I mean,
Yeah.
Cliff's gonna be 4 hours away. He lives up north, so
yeah.
it's gonna be that's just gonna be one hurdle we have to jump through.
Yeah,
and
I think
figure that out.
figuring out the kind of scheduling we're still going through.
Yep.
We want to shoot for like a weekly episode. Whether or not that happens, remains to be seen. But it will be consistent.
Yeah,
It's
we
just-
are gonna. We're all in on making this a thing. Even and another thing too is, I wanted to. Well, we talked before we started recording about how we're not necessarily in this like for anything. We just talk about Flesh and Blood all the time. So these guys kind of had the idea of like, why don't we just like put this in front of a camera? And because we're always talking about Flesh and Blood, we're always like
I'm
talking
have
about
hot
Discord.
takes.
Yeah,
and,
hot takes,
oh yeah,
talking about the meta, and we can set up a Discord for you guys too, and that'll be great for you guys to ask us questions. 'Cause
Yeah.
that'll help us out a lot.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
we really appreciate. We're just gonna try to feel out what we're gonna do, and we'll have plenty of platforms that you guys can go onto and look at and.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be releasing this on Spotify, on YouTube. Any sort of questions, interaction. We have the social media brand formerly known as Twitter, now X.
Yeah.
Thanks, Elon.
Thanks for that, Elon. Like you said, Discord, all sorts of those platforms, for you guys to interact with us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and we'll do our best to engage with our audience as much as we can. It's kind of our plan going forward.
We'll just try to keep up on some news for you guys. Give you some good deck techs potentially with some big deck cards. We'll do like a segment on that and such. We'll go to some segments that you guys would like to hear.
Son's kiss.
Yeah.
That's small deck energy. That's small deck energy.
You guys have your big deck energy. I got the spice over here.
The spice master.
If y'all want to cook in the kitchen, come to
over there.
the chef, not the wine
He's
cooks.
over there doing this on all his decks.
Fucking
Yeah,
someday over there.
Fucking hell.
Lord.
But we'll really appreciate you guys, and we'll come back at you with another episode, and we'll dive right into some meta talk.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll catch you next week.
See ya.
See ya.
Peace out.